this video, we're going to talk about Vue JS and computed properties. I'm going to start by opening up my project in VS Code and Google Chrome. So this is the project I'm working on, and we want to check out computed properties. So let's jump over and we'll go to vuejs.org guide, and I'm just going to search computed. All right. Computed details. Computed properties to be mixed into the Vue instance. All getters and setters have their this context automatically bound to the Vue instance. Note that if you use an arrow function with a computed property, this won't be the component's instance, but you can still access the instance as the function's first argument. Let's see, computed properties are cached and only recomputed on reactive dependency changes. Note that if a certain dependency is out of the instance's scope, i.e. not reactive, the computed property will not be updated. All right, so they give us a few examples. And just like our methods, they have computed, colon, and then inside is an object, and in that object you have your name of your method, or in this instance computed property, and you pass it a function and it has a return statement. When you define a get and a set, it goes inside of this object. So up here they're not defining a set method or function, so they only have to say the name of their computed property and then define a function. When you're using the both get and set, you define your computed property, you put your functions or your get and set inside of this object, and then you return a function. So let's go ahead and dive in. We're probably going to do this one first, and then maybe if it doesn't take too long, I'll jump down here and we'll do some get and set. So back over to our project. Now, I don't have anything really that I want to compute, but what we could do is let's add a price for our cat. So let's say price, and the price of a cat is 100. All right, and then I'm just going to copy that. The price for a big cat is, we'll say 150. The price for a bigger cat is, we'll just do 200. And the price for the biggest cat, we'll say this guy's 500. All right, so now all of our cats have a price. So we'll save that, and we want to open up our cat card. And as of right now, we're not showing the price on the cat card anywhere. So let me go ahead and display the price. I'm going to put it in a div tag. All right, and then we can say price and use the mustache tags, and we can do cat.price, and that should display our price right over here. I'm going to save. There we go. I had to refresh. It didn't hot reload for me. I don't know why it does that sometimes, but so we got our price here and we're showing it over here. And just like they told us in our Vue JS docs, we should be able to define computed, pass it an object, and then define our function or return a function and give this a name. So let's go ahead and we'll say computed. It's an object, and what do we want this to be? I'm gonna compute the tax for the price of my cat, so I'll just call this tax. All right, and then if we look over here, we got to do function. All right, and we have to return something. That's pretty important. Notice that they define a return. You have to actually specify return this. So let's do return, and we want to grab the price of the cat. So we should be able to say this dot cat to get the cat prop, and we want the cat price, and then we want to get the tax. So depending on where you live, tax is going to be different. I'm just going to say the tax is 3%, so 0.03. And what that's going to do is going to multiply the price of the cat by 0.03, and that's going to be my tax amount. So let's go ahead and I'm going to copy this. We'll put it right here. We'll do this as tax, if I can type, and we'll do cat. Actually, we can get rid of cat, and we should just be able to say tax right here. So we'll do tax. All right, come back over to our blog, and when I save this, we're expecting it to show us only the tax amount in a div directly below price. So let me save. Cool. So we have our tax, and you can see each individual component of our cat card has a different price and a different tax. The computed property is looking at the prop passed in, and then it's computing the tax based on that object that we received. Let's go ahead. One of the other cool things you can do is we can actually use this computed property of tax in another computed property. So let's check that out real quick. Let's copy this, and this time let's just say total. So this will be the price plus the tax. And we didn't create it down here yet, but I'm going to call it total. We'll come down here and we'll add total, and we'll add in our function. And this time we want to return this.cat.price plus the tax. And I should be able to say this.tax. All right. Now we're hoping to see another row right here, and it should say total and then combine the 100, the $3, and then it should say 103. So I'm going to save. Cool. So we're using computed properties. We're passing in a list of cats. All we have in this list of cats is our price, and based on the price, we're able to compute tax and total dynamically for each individual cat component. That's pretty cool. Now, over on Vue JS, they had another example where they use both get and set. So they're defining the name of their computed property, and then they're providing a get and set. Let's see if we can do something similar so we can try out this method as well. As of right now, my cat form doesn't have anywhere to put in a dollar amount for price, tax, total, or any of that. Now for my app, what I want to happen is when I add a cat, all my cats have the same markup. So it's just 20%. And when I buy a cat, I want this add a cat. I know I bought it for $153. I want my app to automatically just add 20% for me, so I don't have to figure out what 20% is of $167. So let's add another input field here, and I'm going to call it wholesale price. We'll go over to our cat form, and right here under our image URL, we'll copy this. We're going to say wholesale price. It's going to be of type, let's do type number, and let's give it a step value of, since it's a number, we want it to do decimals. We'll do 0.01. So it'll give us a little increment box so we can go up or down by 1 penny. And I'm going to get rid of the V model for right now. We're going to add that back in a second, but I just want to make sure that this displays over here in my form. So I'm going to save that. Cool. Now when I click over here, you can see I can increment by 1 penny. Cool. Now one of the cool things about computed properties is you can actually attach a V model to a computed property, and that's what we're going to do. So let's come down here, and I'm going to put my computer properties after data. So we know we have to type computed, and we know that takes an object, and then let's jump back and double check. So computed, and we have to name it. I'm going to call this computed property wholesale price. All right, and that takes an object. And then we have to provide a get and a set. So we'll do get and we'll do set. Cool. So now that we're set up, let me go back over to our form, and I want to attach, well, first off, let's go ahead and add wholesale up here. All right, and I'm going to set the amount to 0. So what we want to do is we're going to put a v model at the end right here, and we'll do v-model equals, and we're going to make it equal to the wholesale price. So we'll type wholesale price. All right. But right now our computed property isn't doing anything, it's empty. So what we want our wholesale price to do is we want it to get and set the wholesale value inside of our new cat. So for get, we're just going to say return this dot new cat dot wholesale. All right, so now we're getting the new cat wholesale dollar amount. And now we want to do set. Set has a function, and that function actually receives a value. And that's going to be whatever the value is of our V model up here, and then wholesale price, because we've attached it. So it's going to pass in the data that's in our input field right here. We're passing the value, and then we want to set the wholesale in our new cat to this value. So we should be able to say this dot new cat dot wholesale equals value. All right, so let's just go ahead and make sure that works. That should work exactly the same as our cat card worked previously, but we're manually putting in our getter and our setter. And we'll see what's cool about this in a second, but I want to make sure that first that this is working as expected. So I'm going to save this, and we'll come over here. We'll pull up our dev tools. Let's refresh that, and we'll pull up our Vue app and then cat form. And we want to see this wholesale price change, and we want to make sure it's changing the price up here in our new cat object of wholesale. So let's see. I increase by 1. Cool. Now you'll notice it changed it to a string. If it was a number, it wouldn't have the quotations, the double quotes. So let's address that real quick. And to do that, I'm just going to do, we'll call it the amount. So let amount equal, and we want to parse float to tell it that this is a decimal. So we'll say parse float, and we'll pass in the value. All right. So now this amount should be a decimal value. So let's just type amount, and we'll save that. Cool. Now let's double check. This time we're hoping that our number or our decimal remains a decimal. So let's come up here. We'll hit the up arrow, and as you can see, it's remaining a decimal. We don't have it inside of the double quotations. And right now, these match, which is good. Now you're probably thinking, all right, that's cool, but right now this is more code than doing it the other way we did in our cat card. But the cool thing about this is when we do this set right here, we can actually set additional things. So as of right now, I'm only setting the wholesale, right, of 0. We're incrementing our wholesale value here and our wholesale value here. But earlier I said I sell all my cats at 20% over whatever I purchased them for. So I want to set the price as the wholesale value increases. I want to add 20% and set that value to the price. So let's give that a try. So if we want to set the price in addition to the wholesale price right here, how would we do that? Well, first, let me define, let's set our markup. We know that we're marking it up 20%. So let's do let markup equal, now we want to tell it to be a decimal, all right, and we want the amount times 0.2 for 20%. All right, so now this should be the amount of markup we're going to add on top of the value that we purchased the cat for. Now let's set the price right here to the amount plus the markup. All right, so we'll do this dot new cat dot price equals, and we'll say amount plus markup. All right, now I'm going to save this, and we're anticipating when I type over here, or when I increment the value, we're expecting the wholesale value to change in addition to the price, and we're expecting the price to be 20% more than the wholesale value. Let's see. So we're getting nan for not a number. We'll do, let's just say it's $100. So the wholesale price I bought this cat for was $100. The sale price, it automatically added 20%, so it's setting my price for $120. In a previous video, we did an if-then statement, and we actually display a preview window as long as a title is provided. So let's provide a title, new cat. All right. So it looks like our tax, let's just fix that real quick. If we come over to our cat card, and I think let's try 2 fixed, and we'll say 2. So we want to fix it to 2 decimal places. Cool. All right. And let's see what happens. Now let's pay attention to our price right here. We're expecting when the wholesale value increases, our price to increase with it. Now we're only incrementing by pennies. Oh, see our price right here? Let's go ahead and address that. We'll add the 2 fixed 2. Cool. And our total, let's do that as well. Now, depending on your application, you might handle this a little differently. I just wanted to truncate. You might put rounding on there or handle this in a specific case. I'm just doing this as a demo because I want you guys to see how the computed property works. This isn't a tutorial on how to handle money in JavaScript. So let's do 300. Cool. So our wholesale price is 300. So it's going to show us that the sale price of this cat is 20% more of 360. The tax, it's automatically calculating at $10.80, and then it's adding it all together to give us our total. Now, if I was to press add cat, you can see it put the price in there for us. It did the tax, it did the total, and you don't actually see the wholesale, which is pretty cool. Just to show you guys that the wholesale price actually exists, when you hover over these cat cards down here, you can see it highlight the individual card. So if I wanted to check the properties, I want to see that this cat card actually has a wholesale price on it. All right. So I'm clicking on the first cat card. Now these are the computed properties, but I want to see the cat object itself. And you can see right here that the wholesale price is stored in this cat card component, and the regular price is stored as well. So when we're adding a new cat, we're saying, what is our wholesale price? And then it's automatically doing all the math and calculations for us to display it to our users. I'm going to close out of my Vue DevTools, and for some reason it pushed this down a little bit. Let's see. That's weird. I'm going to refresh, and let's actually grab an image. I'm curious if it did that weird push down because I didn't provide an image or maybe a message. Let's see. So let's try out our cat card. So our title is going to be newest cat. Our message is going to be, this is our newest cat. Our link will be http://www.newcat.com. Let's grab an image. We'll do images. This guy looks good. We'll copy image address. Jump back over here. We'll paste. So he's working. And let's just pretend I bought this. I purchased this cat for $250. So it's going to automatically add 20% and then calculate my tax and my total. Let me add a cat. Cool. So my display issue earlier was because I didn't provide all of the details right here. If you want to mess with the CSS to correct that on your own, go right ahead. I'm going to leave it like this for now. I don't want to make this a CSS heavy tutorial. I could spend days talking about CSS, but it looks like our computed properties are working. We can see how to do it this way, where we provide a name and then a function for our computed property, and we saw how to do it this way, where we provide our name and then our get and set, and how we're able to use this set down here to manipulate more data. So go ahead and try this out on your own. Maybe try and add some additional computed properties. You can try some different get and set. If you haven't already, go ahead, hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon so you get notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.